Roger Douglas set about to transform an economy that was overprotected, over-subsidised, overtaxed, over-regulated and broke. His leader at the time, David Lange, likened the New Zealand economy to a Polish shipyard, Poland being a communist nation at the time. Roger Douglas embarked on a series of measures that did violence to the inbred Kiwi notion that government should be heavily involved in everything. He removed the freeze on wages, prices and interest rates that had been in force for 2 years under Sir Robert Muldoon. He abolished farm subsidies overnight. He started to hack away at tariffs. He reformed the tax system, halving the top rate of personal income tax from 66 cents in the dollar to 33. At the same time introducing GST at a rate of 10%. He floated the dollar and lifted restrictions on currency trading. He insisted big government enterprises like the then Post Office, which was in charge of the phone system as well, scrub up commercially instead of being the lumbering, inefficient monoliths they were. He brought a new term to public discourse, Rogernomics. How did he, as a Minister of Finance in what was supposed to be a socialist government, get away with all this? Well, he once said of his opponents, give them so many moving targets they don't know which one to fire at. One of his supporters outside Parliament was not in a position to make it known. It often fell to television anchorman Lindsay Perigo to interview the then Mr. Douglas about this or that latest grenade being lobbed from his juggernaut. Perigo was and is a libertarian who believed in getting government out of nearly everything. As such, his only complaint with the Douglas reforms was that they didn't go far enough. Of course, he couldn't say this on air where he was expected to be impeccably neutral. But I'm reliably informed there were some lively discussions in the green room after a Douglas-Perigo encounter. Eventually, Prime Minister Lange lost his nerve at the speed of the juggernaut and called a halt to the Douglas reforms, or more specifically, a breather and a cup of tea. Sir Roger was anxious to move on to the next phase, which would include a guaranteed minimum income and a flat rate of income tax. But Lange would have none of it. At the end of 1988, after 4 years of breathless and breathtaking reform, he forced his finance minister out. Technically, it was a resignation. Effectively, it was a sacking. Lindsay Perigo, who left TVNZ and became the founding leader of the Libertarians Party, will offer some remarks on why he's opposed to compulsory superannuation, the topic of our discussion tonight and one of the points of philosophical departure between him and Sir Roger, who sees compulsory super as one of the items of unfinished business in his economic agenda. Sir Roger will then explain his stance, speaking for himself personally, rather than as a representative of the ACT Party, for whom, of course, he is currently a list MP. Both speakers will then engage each other from the stage. Lindsay, welcome to the stage.
I can tell you there was no more exciting time to be in journalism or to be a New Zealander. The cleansing hurricanes of change blowing through the country were exhilarating. That night, after that interview, I told Sir Roger, at the home of a mutual friend, that whatever happened from that point on, and of course we had no clue as to what might happen, but whatever happened, the country was in his debt. So it was, so it remains. Sir Roger Douglas pulled us back from the brink of banana republic status. Those of you who agree with me about that might like to take this opportunity to applaud him for it. And there's quite a large but involved. The reason countries catch the Banana Republic virus and move inexorably towards full-blown Banana Republic status is politicians. Politicians and their lust for power. Whether it's Mugabe or Muldoon, the motive is the same. The lust for power over others, for the sake of power over others. In the case of a Mugabe, such power is exercised by blatant thuggery. In the case of a Muldoon, it's exercised via the soft thuggery of things like wage, price, and interest rate freezes. Sundry other restrictions and regulations such as your industry is now being subject to, together with punitive taxes and the attendant bullying and threats of incarceration. You know, during that time, when a carpet manufacturer in Levin announced he was going to put his prices up, this was during the time of the price freeze, Sir Robert said, "If some smart aleck tries to beat the system, you use the weapons provided by the system to beat him." It's hard to appreciate how close we were to a full-on dictatorship. Politicians are forever attempting either to force you to do something or to forbid you to do it. Everything in their universe should be either illegal or compulsory. I wouldn't mind a law against cell phones at public meetings. In a dictatorship, they will simply impose their will without restraint or constraint. No justification required. In a democracy, where they require your assent every few years, they'll tell you that they boss you around for your own good. You, the voters, allow them to do it. And you thus get double whammied. They get to boss you around. They also get to steal your money in order to do that. It's the confidence trick of the ages. Now, in some cases, the politician may sincerely believe it's all for your own good, rather than for the satiation of his power lust. But I'm reminded of the words of C.S. Lewis, quote, "Of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. Those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience," unquote. Now, the thing that is anathema to any compulsionist, sincere or driven by power lust, is to be reminded that actually we can manage just fine on our own. Thank you very much, if you'll just bloody leave us alone. Stop taking our money for your own nefarious purposes. Stop erecting obstacles at every turn. Stop ordering us or forbidding us to do things, and just generally get the hell out of our way. But you know, the politicians just can't help themselves. And this brings us to the nub of our topic tonight. Even dear Roger can't quite help himself. Roger, who will often quite correctly tell you that you know better what to do with your money than the government does, he would still have the government telling you what to do with your money. Roger is an advocate of compulsory retirement saving, and for that matter, last time I checked, of compulsory